I heard a voice in my head, and it was like, this is it. This is where you take your life. You're so lame. You're so pathetic. You are a horrible mother. Just take yourself out. Like, this is it. This is the time to do it. And I believed it. I was like, you're so lame. Then I looked up and I saw all 5 of my children, 5 sets of eyes. They looked away quickly. Just as I looked up, they just looked away. And then I looked behind them out the window that was behind them, and I saw their dad getting in his car, driving off. And it was then that I heard the voice of God tell me, he's not gonna be there for them. You need to show up for them. You're the one for the job. Episode 18, Still Standing. I grew up in a household where my parents were Catholic, but I always knew there was a God out there. So it was when my parents got a divorce when I was 13 that I started my own journey looking for God. I visited Buddha temples. I even found myself baptized into what was a cult that I found out afterwards about. And I studied Jehovah's Witness. But it wasn't until I found myself at 19 years old in a small church called Christians United of about 10 Southern Black women that all became like my church moms, that it was the first time actually that the pastor opened the Bible and I saw Jesus for who he was. It was about a year that I was walking as a single young woman at 19 years old, just, on fire for the Lord, still in transition. So I was still like wearing like the long dresses with the slit like up to here, but I was still carrying my Bible, talking about Jesus saves. And it was then in that season that I met my husband, my ex-husband now. We were 20 and 21, knew each other for 5 months, and wanted to do things right, so we got married. I was in a marriage that was founded on Christ, and he was ordained in his 20s, and we served the youth ministry. Life seemed like it was perfect. I homeschooled my kids. I put school to the side and even work to commit to being a stay-at-home mom full-time, and I loved it. I love being a mom. I love my kids. I love being a wife, and then things changed. We ended up being married 17 years, and towards the end, I always say, if you don't grow together, you'll grow apart. And I don't want to vilify or victimize anyone in the marriage. However, I will say this, he became a different person and wanted multiple wives, and it was over. But I think the greatest lessons in my life happened after the divorce. Even after the first affair that I found out about, which happened actually when I had my son, my first son. It was when my son was maybe 2 hours old in the hospital that my ex-husband decided to let me know that there was another woman. And that was just woman number one. I didn't divorce him right away because I believed in marriage and I knew how God felt about divorce. And also I was like, we have 5 kids and we've been married for this long, like you're gonna get your stuff together and we're gonna work it out. So I didn't divorce him right away. It wasn't until 3 years later that I actually filed the divorce. But in those 3 years, you know, he wasn't around. He was in and out the house, and there was always fighting every time we were together. So this particular day, he came in and we got into an argument, and he turned the whole downstairs living room in our home just upside down. The couch was upside down, the chairs, the dining chairs were everywhere, everything on the kitchen counters were on the floor. And you can only imagine like all the noise that it was making. All of this, and my kids were upstairs listening. And it was just always a thing for him to tell me to shut the fuck up, shut the fuck up, shut the fuck up. Stupid ass bitch, stupid ass bitch. This is what was chimed in my ear. Just, you know, shut the fuck up, you stupid ass bitch. And we were going back and forth, and he then took the dishwashing soap and squeezed it all over my head. And I was sitting in the back on the floor at this point, leaning up against my back door, just like tired. And so I kind of just fell down to just sit down. And that's when he did that. He took the dishwashing soap, poured it all over my head, then took a water bottle and just started pouring it all over me. I didn't fight back. I was humiliated. And if that wasn't enough, he then called all the kids down. He called them all down. Children, come down here. And so they all come down. And as I have my head down there, I heard a voice in my head, and it was like, this is it. This is where you take your life. You're so lame. You're so pathetic. You are a horrible mother. Just take yourself out. Like, this is it. This is the time to do it. And I believed it. I was like, you're so lame. Then I looked up and I saw all 5 of my children, 5 sets of eyes. They looked away quickly. Just as I looked up, they just looked away. And then I looked behind them out the window that was behind them, and I saw their dad getting in his car, driving off. And it was then that I heard the voice of God tell me, he's not gonna be there for them. You need to show up for them. You're the one for the job. It's you. They need you. So I stood up out of that mess I was in, that was just, I was covered in dish soap, my hair, I was wet. And I stood up and I looked at my kids. You know, they were waiting to see what I was gonna do, what I was gonna say. And I just felt the Holy Spirit fall upon me. This moment became a fight for their destiny, for their future, for their identities, and the people they were gonna become. So I got up. I started just declaring everything I was. And, you know, I'm a child of God. I am anointed. I am a royal priesthood. Just everything. I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Everything that God says I am. I started declaring it to them right then and there, telling them, this is who I am. And as I was telling them, it was like God reminding me and telling me who I was, who I didn't see myself as, you know, my entire marriage. And that was the last day that I ever had a suicidal thought. It was truly a release. And since then, it has been a fight and a journey to my Father, who is my true love. And I realized that I could never receive love or give love the right way, the healthy way, until I experience the purest love that there is, which is only found in Jesus. And I truly believe that there is a hole that God placed in all of us that only He can fill. But most of the time we spend our lives filling it with other things, like, validation from others, drinking, smoking, sex, whatever it is, but only God can fill that void. And it was only after I was released from that marriage that I was able to see who I truly was in God. I didn't have anybody telling me who I had to be. I should cut my hair, I should grow my hair out, why are your nails so long? Why are you wearing makeup? I was scared to even just be me because I was being told to be whatever anybody wanted me to be. And so I just truly believe that God had me walk that walk, because He was not only fighting for me, but He's fighting for my children as well, and everyone connected to me. So I don't know what you may be going through in this very moment, but if there was anything that I could tell you, is that God sits high and He sees low. There is nothing that God doesn't see that you're going through, and there's no tear that He doesn't care about. He sees it all, and He cares about your life down to the millisecond. He is the author of time and events, and even if you don't get it now, you don't understand where you are, just know that God is watching. God has His hand on you. He sees the bigger picture. He sees the version of you that you have yet to behold. And so trust Him. Trust Him. For more episodes of Vision Vault, go to YouTube at Open Vision Vault.